Today, we're covering a team that we didn't agree as much on, and that's saying it lightly. We have them overall as the number 2 team. That's our picks kind of combined in the Eastern Conference. I had them all the way at number 1, and I'm sure I'm going to have to defend this one. Justin had them all the way down at number 5. With key additions of Justice Winslow, Gerald Green, and Amari Stoudemire, and hopefully a back to full health Chris Bosh. This team is looking to build on what they did last season with a little bit of help. I personally thought that if Chris Bosh had not gone down with his heart ailment, that they would have been a serious contender in the East, especially considering the bevy of injuries to other teams. Justin, what would be your biggest, we'll say, argument against my high ranking, and then I'll go and defend it?
Okay, well, first of all, I probably haven't disagreed with you more on anything in my entire life. Having the Heat as number 1, your predicted number 1 seed in the East, is crazy to me. Dwayne Wade's only going to be playing a third of the games. We've seen that they rest him even while healthy. Goran Dragic, since coming over from the Suns, he did not have close to the same impact, or he wasn't even close to the same player he was on the Suns. We don't know how Hassan Whiteside is going to operate next to Chris Bosh. Is that going to limit his role? Is he going to have nearly the same impact? When Miami was healthy and together, which there never truly was that. We didn't see what their full starting 5 looks like together. They didn't have the same kind of defensive impact that they had in the past. Luol Deng is another injury concern. He's someone that doesn't really stretch out the floor at all. His defense hasn't been good in a couple of years either, so I'm not too high on him. I really do like Justice Winslow. I like what they did with the bench, but I just don't see enough consistency for them to get that high of a seed. That's a large part of why I had that ranking. I do agree that they have a high ceiling, but realistically speaking, I just can't see every star aligning to get them a number 1 seed in the East.
Okay, obviously the injury bug is a huge splinter in this argument, and I agree with you. If injuries hit as they have in the past, this derails. Although every team has been subject to injuries, and the Cavs and such are not out of this possibility. But I'll give you basically my argument. My argument is, you have Hassan Whiteside, who I think will build off last year. His scoring numbers may go down a bit with Bosh, I agree, but I think his presence in the paint will allow Bosh to really play around in the perimeter and be that number 1 inside focus. Because to me, I look at this, Bosh has a clear role. He's the front court scorer, kind of like you were saying in past comparisons, where good teams have an inside and outside presence. And Dwayne Wade and Goran Dragic, yes, they have injury concerns, especially Wade. But I think even if Wade is out and you have to play Winslow and Gerald Green and such, those guys have showed that, more Green in Phoenix, that he can take on some games and be productive. And I think Dragic will be able to pick up some of that scoring load. I think Amari Stoudemire off the bench is a perfect situation for him. I think he's going to play within his means at this point. 15-20 minutes, give some front court scoring, and you can put him with Bosh, you can put him with Whiteside, get a couple block shots here and there. And I think Winslow, if you're worried about 2 positions having injury concern, being your 2 and your 3, well, you just drafted a guy who is a bit of an insurance policy. Yes, if Wade goes out for long periods, or Deng goes out for long periods, and Winslow has to play big minutes right away, I think Green will play more than we think. But I just think this team can deal with an injury. Like, if you lose a bunch of these guys, I agree with you. But I look at this team, they're tall, they're long. That front court of Chris Bosh and Hassan Whiteside, that's going to be disruptive for a lot of teams trying to attack the paint. Luol Deng, while he has lost a step, I don't think is that bad, and I think he adds some nice leadership and a steady hand. And I think if everything does roll right, it's such a dynamic backcourt of Dragic and Wade. I think they can both create for other people and themselves. Listen, there are a lot of question marks. But in my mind, I like teams that play a lot of defense. I like teams that can control the ball, limit turnovers. They can shoot. They can have presence inside. They can block shots. Maybe I'm being a homer for some of my personal biases of what I like in teams, but this team checks off a lot of the boxes. I mean, it's tough to argue, right? Because there's stars on both teams, and obviously by placing them in my rankings at number 1, I've made the Cavs number 2, which will go into our Cavs ranking. But you know what? I could understand the argument that they're not number 1. I could be persuaded against that to a number 2 potentially, but where you put them, personally, I thought was a little low. That same argument of a lot of these things can be made for the teams that have jumped over them, like Chicago Bulls and such. And while I think what you're saying is possible, I just think it would really, all the wheels would have to come off for this team to not be hyper successful in the regular season.
While I agree with some of the points you're making, I really do think 4 is probably the highest I would see them getting in the East, maybe 3. Obviously, like I said, Wade's going to be out for about a third of the games, if not more. But the concerns I have, when Miami was at their best, obviously they had LeBron James, but Chris Bosh was playing as a 5, as a stretch 5. He was creating driving lanes for Dwayne Wade. When you have a more conventional center in Hassan Whiteside, that clogs the paint a little bit. Nobody respects Dwayne Wade's jumper. He's not a good 3-point shooter. Luol Deng, you have the same issue there. You have an unproven shooter in Justice Winslow, possibly filling in. And Goran Dragic, in order to create, he gets so much of... he creates so much when he's driving and penetrating. Without the spacing for him to operate, probe the defense, and find guys, I don't really see him having the same impact. So he'd be primarily, his impact would be as a scorer, or running a pick and pop with Chris Bosh. But really, I just don't like the fit of this team as much as I like other teams in the East. Like even Atlanta, even Washington, like they have something that's established. I think it's going to take, there's going to be a transition period for all these new pieces to come together in Miami. The injuries you can basically bank on. They're not going to have the same defensive identity. You talked about Stoudemire coming in. Well, there you have basically a saloon door. Like people can get right by him, no problem. So I have a lot of concerns with the fit. I think there's a possibility that they could be the second best team in the East come playoffs. But with so much transition, so much resting for the playoffs, I just don't see them getting enough regular season wins as some of the younger teams that have been together longer, that also have a lot of star talent.
I can see where you're coming from. I think the continuity will come there faster. I think, Amari and Wade have known each other for a while. I think the pedigree of Winslow from playing in Duke breeds a sense of maturity. And while I agree with you, I still think that when even if you don't have to play all your stars, I still think that they have enough talent to be consistent, score inside, score on the wing, and be dynamic. And they've added some nice young players. So while I can see your point, I can't wait for a nice little battle between the teams you just mentioned and Miami Heat. And, if everything rolls right for me, potentially your Cleveland Cavaliers. But I can see what you're saying, but I still have really high hopes. And I think this is going to be, and I said this last year, potentially a really big year for Chris Bosh.
No, I totally agree. I think Chris Bosh was poised to have a very, very good season last year before he went down. But I think you're just not giving enough respect to how important continuity is in the NBA, especially now with so many teams being deeper. I mean, you look at the Cavs last year. Talk about a team that was loaded with talent at the beginning. They still were under 500 at the halfway point. And that was a team, or at least that was a trio of stars that's arguably more talented, I would say more talented than the talent they have currently in Miami, with Wade and Bosch being at this stage of their careers, and Luol Deng, I should say. So I think the transition period is going to be rather significant, and how it fits together isn't as ideal as the other teams in the East. So I get what you're saying. Only time will tell. This is clearly a case of us valuing different things when it comes to team building, and that's what makes the NBA great. But from what I can see, I just don't see them getting into the upper, the higher seeds in the East this year in the regular season.
Great points as always, Justin. And listen, this is, as they say, this is why they play the games. We want you guys to let us know, are you on Team Justin or Team Phil when it comes to these Miami Heat? Please leave your comments below and join us next time for an episode here on Worst to First, hoopslounge.com.